Hey everybody, thanks for tuning into Charlie Mike, hosted by me, Mike Buchanan. This podcast is for you to stay up to date with all things VA while at the same time getting to know veterans and others who are either continuing the veteran mission post-service or are helping us to continue our own missions. Today, we're going to be hearing from Cassandra Wong. Thanks for being on the show. It's going to be great. An Army LGBTQ local area veteran who is here to tell us more about her story of being LGBTQ in the military and what it was like transitioning back to civilian life. What was it like for you to transition back into civilian life? Listen, it's been a long week, okay? I just want everyone to know that, just to bear with me, okay? It's been a long and busy week, so if I'm fumbling on myself, I am so sorry. All right, so listen, tell everybody hey.
Aloha, everybody, and hello. I am Cassandra Wong. I'm a U.S. Army, the military veteran, medically retired. Got out in 2016. I was prior a wheel mechanic, and I switched over to IT. Currently, I work with Citigroup Bank as an intern, hopefully to stay with them, and I'm a nerd, IT nerd, gamer. Yeah, that's typical me.
I already love you because you're a gamer.
Assassin's Creed.
I just want you to know that. I already, like, anyone who knows me right now is like, oh, he's going to geek out, like, right now. Like, my wife's probably like, dude, you couldn't have picked somebody better to sit across from me right now. That's like my life, gaming. I love gaming. Does it help you? I know this is going to be a little off topic, but whatever. We're going to do that a lot here, okay?
I'm down.
So do you find that gaming helps you with your mental health?
Honestly, yes. It actually helped me with my healing. Funny thing is, there's a research. I can't really go back and date that research, but they're saying Tetris actually helps with trauma. Like, let's say you get into a car accident or you've seen something that traumatic that has happened. They say play like Tetris or something that's very puzzle-like, and it'll come basically in your mind and start kind of drifting you away from the trauma. So I do a lot of RPG games. I'm not a big fan of Call of Duty too much, but I do like puzzle games. I like role-playing games like Skyrim, Assassin's Creed. So those type of games are just a lot different. Storyline is way more different.
Yeah, I mean, it gets you out of your head space, like, for just a little bit. Yeah, I tell people that all the time. And my wife's always like, you should just go read a book. And I said, why would I read a book when I can be in a book?
Exactly, when you can be in that player role,
Yeah, like, I can be in the book. I can, like, be living the adventures, and I can be like playing through them. Yeah, like, I love, like, Dragon Age, like, Fallout. I used to love the Fall. I'm gonna say used to. And I'm looking into this camera, and I'm gonna say used to. So if anyone from Bethesda is listening, which they're not, but if they ever do one of these days, okay, used to, okay. Fallout just kind of went.
It did. Diablo was one of my favorites, and then Far Cry. I mean.
Yeah.
After the series, it just went to craps. It did.
But have you played the new one though?
No, I haven't. Don't tease me yet with that.
Oh, listen, Linda. Listen.
Don't be teasing me with stuff, man.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Listen, I'm not even getting paid for this, okay? But
okay.
But it is. I was hesitant because the way that they went with Far Cry 5, okay, and then they kind of went little weird.
It went a little weird.
It went a little weird. Yeah, but pleasantly surprised by Far Cry 6.
I think my favorite was Far Cry 4. I think that was
Far Cry 4.
It was a little bit more challenging for me compared to the first Far Cry, but I liked it.
Well, all right, enough about video games. Right. But yeah, Far Cry 6 is great. Check it out. It's fantastic. All right, so here's the thing. All right, you already told us a little bit about yourself, but tell us a little bit about your military service. So what branch, what was your job? Where did you serve at?
Okay, United States Army.
Cool.
The places I served at, I did 11 years from 2005 to 2016. I made it to the rank of Staff Sergeant. I was stationed at Fort Drum, New York. Deployed with them to Afghanistan. I did
Climb to Glory.
Yeah, Climb to Glory.
That was me, 10th Mountain.
Yes, all day.
Yeah.
And I did Camp Zama, Japan for about 3 years, and went to Schofield Barracks, Hawaii. Deployed with them to Afghanistan as well. And my last duty station was Fort Carson, Colorado.
You went to a lot of good duty stations.
I got lucky. And at that time I was a mechanic. So when I came to Carson, I actually changed over to being a 25 Bravo for the last couple of years. Because of WTU, I went to Warrior Transition Unit, and they were med boarding me out. And they were like, well, you want to do something for the time being while you're getting med boarded? I'm like, sure. What can I do? And they're like, hey, you want to go, learn information technology? I'm like, yeah, I'm a nerd. I mean, I fix vehicles. I can fix computers, why not?
That's great. That's actually awesome. You know what they had me do since I was in a combat MOS when I was medically discharging?
What's that? HR?
No.
No?
No. Run a combatives gym.
Yes.
Yeah, do you see the difference there? You see, they're like, yeah, I don't care if you're broken. We'll just break you some more.
Right.
Yeah, you'll be all right.
You'll be all
yeah,
right.
they're just getting there and just teach people how to punch people in the face.
Here's some Motrin, ibuprofen.
Yeah.
Drink some water.
Drink some water, and then when you get out and get to the VA tests your liver because now you have acetaminophen poisoning, which is usually what happens with all of us who just take those huge horse pills that are 800 milligram ibuprofen, right? You remember those?
Oh my goodness.
I mean, people would have like everyone in the barracks and like just all over the unit would have these jugs of just 800 milligram ibuprofen.
Oh my gosh, and especially the medics in the barracks too.
Yeah,
here, you need some? Oh, you got a headache? Here you go,
Yeah, I know, right? And the Flexerol shots. Oh, we won't get into
let's get.
We won't even get into that because then we're gonna start getting some people in trouble here. They're gonna start wanting names. Okay.
No, I'm not naming my battle buddies' names. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that to them.
Exactly. All right, so let's just get into it then. Okay. So thank you so much for being on, by the way. And I think this is gonna be a really good podcast. I think this is gonna be great. And I just did the little, I just did that because you've been doing it. You've been doing it so much. I'm just like, yeah, I gotta do it. I just I have it like in me now. It's like contagious.
I didn't even tell people where I'm originally from. I am originally from Hawaii. I'm from Maui, island of Maui. Born and raised till I was 17, and then left for the military right after. So
all right. So I know we talked before this because I always try to do like a pre-brief. Okay, so I can kind of get to know who's gonna come on. And well, because sometimes you can get some really boring people. I'm not gonna lie.
Horrible.
I know. I get told this all the time by other employees and whatever. But I'm just being honest. Okay, I'm a realist. And so sometimes you have to you have to prepare for that. So you always want to meet your guests before they're on your show. Okay. So speaking of you growing up in Hawaii, I'm not gonna say it like you said it because I'm not. I can't. I'd have to really study the way that you said it to be able to say it. I
have
an
accent. It's funny. My girlfriend I'm with right now, she compliments my accent. She's like, you have the cutest accent. I'm like, I have an accent. What's an accent?
Well, it's good that she likes your accent because honestly, I have an accent that I've worked out of my existence. Because I used to live in Maryland, is where I was born, and I lived there till I was 8, and so I have this I belong in a trailer park somewhere, Jersey Shore kind of accent.
Okay.
Whenever I start talking to my family or we go to visit or whatever.
Use your hands too, right?
Yeah. I mean, straight it's like a mixture between New York, Pennsylvania, and Jersey, and it's just a mashup of everything in between. And she hates it. It is so it's like nails on a chalkboard to her, right? And so so when she's when I say something or I get into it or I've talked to my family on the phone for a couple of hours or whatever, she'll go, "Who'd you talk to today?" And I'll be like, "My sister," and she'll be like, "Oh my God, how long are you gonna talk like this for?" So at least your partner loves your accent. Okay, so that's good.
Well, sometimes she has a hard time understanding me because I have it's called pigeon talk in Hawaii, where you hey brother, hey the kind this, the kind that, and then people are looking at you like, what is the kind and who's brother and sister, you're like, yeah.
I love it. I think it's cool. I think it's neat.
It's different. It's different vibes there. And I mean, for people who are stationed out there in Hawaii, Schofield, I've been the best duty station for some people, unless they got Tripler, Mm-hmm. Tripler was another part of in Oahu that you could get stationed at. But it's a different vibe. Once you get to know locals from there, and you get invited to the family parties, man, when you get invited to those family parties, the Ohana, everybody, auntie, sister, uncle, everybody just hey, come eat some grinds, come, hang with the family. And I'm like, okay, that's what's up.
I love it. That's so cool. So tell me this. I got a question for you. So, growing up in that kind of culture, how was it when you came out?
Honestly, it was very more accepting. I mean, my family, I'm adopted. So my mother was like, I already knew. I was like, what you mean you already knew? She's like, your attitude, your persona, how you carry yourself, you're very headstrong. I'm a leader. I'm alpha.
Yeah.
So I already had an alpha personality. So it fit perfectly for me to go in the military, but had to close off a side of myself that was very, hey, everybody's family. It's like, I had to put like the whole alpha, model on, the whole alpha stern face, like, yeah, I run stuff,
That couldn't have been easy.
It wasn't, because I'm so like, I'm friends with everybody. I'm just like, hey, family, everything, family. And that's the main thing in Hawaii. Ohana is family, respect, everything is huge. And then when you try and transition down to the military, it's like, well, not everybody has that same mentality, the open mentality,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, how many years were you out before you joined the military?
So, just in case they don't investigate me.
No one's going to investigate you. Never. No.
I was actually out since I was 14 years old.
Okay.
14, and I joined at 17. So 3 to 4 years prior to the military.
So here's the thing, that the reason I ask is that's a hell of a transition.
It was.
Because I can only imagine what it was like to be honest with yourself and with your family and the people that you love and the people that you're friends with about, how you feel about yourself and your sexuality. And then having to, like, it's hard enough doing that. And then having to put it all back into the box and then basically hide it in an attic space and then lock the attic space with like a padlock and then behind like a fireproof safe. I mean, because, like in the military, because like when you joined, it wasn't. It was don't ask, don't tell. It was still don't ask, don't tell. Yeah. So
in 2005 was don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah.
And, at that time, it's obvious. I had short hair when I joined the military, and everybody's like, oh, she has to be gay. And then when you're a certain personality, and for me, I have an alpha personality, I'm more of a leader than I am a follower. And a lot of people didn't like that I was blunt. I was honest about everything. I was blunt.
No.
I didn't drink the Kool-Aid. I did not drink the Kool-Aid.
Wait, you don't drink the Kool-Aid either? So we'll be the only two alive at the end of the universe. I just want you to know that we might as well start being friends now, because I also don't drink the Kool-Aid. Yes.
So for me, I think it was distant. Right, I couldn't get along with different groups of people. It didn't matter what sex they were, what race they were, or ethnicity. I didn't belong anywhere because of my personality. There's not many people who have similar personality as me. So for me, going back in the closet definitely was paranoia. Paranoid, I think that's when it started. When I went to my first duty station, Fort Drum, New York, in 2005. A month before I deployed, I didn't know I was deploying. I hit there. I'm like, yeah, hey, guess what? You're deploying next month. I'm like, oh, great. And from there, it's just, okay, now I have to watch my every step, my every move. I have to make sure that I have a good PT score. I have to make sure I have a good weapons score. Like, I have to keep myself out of the limelight with people, because people will get nosy. I mean, everybody nosy. So when they see somebody with short hair, a female, she's like, she's gay.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I understand. I understand it to a point. Okay. Because even just with me, okay, when I went to drum, you always have to prove your worth, right? Yes. Like drum is, well, in the Army in general, really, but drum especially, right? Because drum's all about that light infantry, and they're all about that history, and most of the base is infantry, and so they have that infantry hardcore combat mentality about everything that they do. And so you have to consistently prove your worth to them, right? Like, and if you don't prove your worth, then you always feel unworthy. And, and you're not going to fit in no matter who you are. And so, you know what I'm saying? And so, like, then to tack on something else, right, to where you always have to be proving your worth was hard enough for me. So I can only imagine how it was for you to be consistently doing that and trying to keep everything under wraps, right? So that you don't get in trouble for something that you shouldn't have been in trouble for in the first place. But, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. I mean, at that time was a different era.
It was.
Compared, where we're at now in 2021 and where we were at in 2005 is just two different universes, I call it,
Mm-hmm.
And, I had a lot of friends who were very, oh, no, we're not going to tell nobody. Some battle buddies were like, oh, we know what you are, but we don't care. And it surprised me. I was like, wow, then why do they have this policy in effect? And, I learned about the policy when I was in as a PV2. I was just like, that's why it's in effect, because you're only protecting certain people. Mm-hmm. You're not protecting everybody, like you're claiming to protect,
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, it comes back to history. There's a portion of history that I think all veterans forget, right? I mean, really all veterans forget, but it's the fact that how do you sell the military to families who have young kids, right? That was always the question that the government always had to answer. How do you sell the military, right? Because we don't want to draft people all the time, right? For wars and conflicts, because then we are evil, right? Then we're the bad people. So how do we make people want to join this job that could send them away to get killed somewhere in a foreign country? Okay. And so when they did that, if you notice, like back in the day, like World War I, era, World War II era, they made it all about like, here's all these values, and look, we can reform your kids. We can reform. Gosh. We can make them a better human being, kind of thing, right? And so I think that, but just back in the day, that was that kind of mentality, right? And I think that's probably where it comes from, right? Is that kind of mentality. It doesn't mean it's right, right? I mean, no, honestly,
at that time
it doesn't.
It wasn't. And
it's not.
It's sad that I had a couple of my battle buddies who got kicked out because they were gay. They got caught being gay, and some of my battle buddies did not get their benefits like they were supposed to. Some of them got dishonorable discharge. I'm like, just because they were who they were, and they did their job, just like I said, they did their job. Got a perfect PT score, perfect weapons, everything. They're good all around. They're command chain from the top down. So.
Honestly, it makes me super angry. I'm not gonna lie, because like you and I talked about this offline, but like it makes me super angry because it's kind of like the Afghanistan thing, and I hate to bring this up, but
let's bring it up.
But it's kind of like the Afghanistan thing with me, right? Is that I believe in the morals, values, and ethics, and creeds, and codes, and ethoses that they preach to us in the military, right? Like, it made me want to be a better person. It made me want to do better. It made me believe in the freedoms that everyone has, right? And the sheer fact that, people deserve freedom. And we work really hard in the military to ensure that. And we sacrifice time, and we sacrifice effort, and we bleed, and we sweat, and we cry for, so that other people don't have to do that. To enjoy these freedoms, right?
Right.
And there's nothing, like, if you did your job, that's all I need you to do. I don't care about your sexual orientation. I don't care who you like, who you love, who you want to like, who you want to love, what you want to be called. It doesn't matter to us in the military, right? And I think that's what makes it so different, right? Is that it doesn't matter to us. All that matters is that you did your job and you got my back.
Exactly. Are you going to protect me at the end of the day when we're in a firefight?
Yes.
What's going to happen,
Yeah, exactly. What's going to happen? Like, are you going to be able to do what I need you to do in the time that I need you to do it? And as long as that happens, who gives a crap? Like, who really cares?
I just see that as nobody pays my bills. You don't pay my bills about what I do or who I decide to love. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, that really has like nothing to do with it. And let me tell you this, okay? Just while we're on this rant and this soapbox, okay? Is that a majority of the people we've ever had problems with, okay, is a majority of the wife spouses of the men, okay? Because like this because you were a sergeant, okay? You were a staff sergeant. How many times did you have to tell a wife, go home? Okay, just go. You can't come up here, okay? Like, they just yell and scream, and they're irate, and half of them are just batty crazy, man.
I feel like some of them do need to go to therapy. I have recommended therapy to a couple of my soldiers and my NCOs, their spouses. I sat with them like, hey, you might need therapy. Right. I don't care if I hurt your feelings. You need therapy. Yeah. You need help.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's true. It's true. It's absolutely true. I just, I'm a big believer in freedom, and I'm a big believer in, you earned the right to be free, right? I mean, you did, especially as the military. We earned that right, okay? Like, my wife yells at me all the time because I'll cuss in public, or, no one likes my language, but it's fine, whatever, okay? But I know she hates it, but I always remind her, I'm like, yeah, but it's my freedom to do so and not get arrested or beheaded or beat up or whatever. And so, like, why wouldn't I?
No, you're absolutely right. You're right.
Why wouldn't I? Well, it's just not proper. Well, I know it's not proper, but it's just kind of how I do things. Like, I just feel more comfortable. Do you know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. Or I used to hear people tell me, oh, that's not ladylike. I'm like, I'm not a lady. I'm a soldier.
Yeah.
I'm not a lady. I'm a soldier.
I like it. That's good. All right. So I know we're sidetracking. All right. So did you know, no, actually, you know what? No, let's do this. Okay. So what obstacles or challenges did you feel like you faced as a veteran, but while also being a member of the LGBTQ community? I know we talked a little bit about this already, but and then how do you think that differs from usual military issues?
Honestly, it's a different world being, LGBTQ coming out the military. And the thing is, I I don't share the same views as a civilian LGBTQIA plus person. I don't. And they don't understand that, I have my own views, they have their own views. And the thing is, when I try to get them to see things on a different end or a different angle, they're very, a lot of different, like civilian LGBTQIA plus.
It's a mouthful, I know.
Yes, even me as a LGBTQ person, I'm just gonna say I'm a gay person. If I offend somebody, I'm sorry, but as a gay person, I'm pretty much, I notice the community is very defensive at anything. You try to open an idea to them, so defensive. I can see why we're trying to protect everybody. At the end of the day, we all belong in the community. No matter what community you belong to, everybody belongs in the community, But the thing is, having that, pushback of ideas, when you're trying to throw ideas to the civilian end of LGBTQ, they're just so, well, what is your agenda? Well, why is this or why is that? And you try to break it down to them, and they're like, no, it's not fitting to our needs.
Yeah.
And it kind of puts you in the bad, and I don't want to say mindset, but a bad space where, well, I'm trying to help you guys here. I'm trying to present you guys a different view on life. It's not just my way or the highway, but take this in consideration. I'm taking yours in consideration here. I'm over here, trying to be respectful and taking yours in consideration. I'm learning all the pronouns, because that's a new thing now, is learning the pronouns, making sure you're talking to who you're talking to, and making sure you're still upholding respect for them, Because I don't want to come in here and call you a douchebag. That doesn't work no more,
It's okay. A lot of people that are watching this would agree with you. So it would be fine. They're like, yeah, absolutely. How did you know? Yeah.
Hey, I guess that.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
I got you.
That's, yeah. No, you're right. And honestly, we have LGBTQ services here at the VA, obviously. Well, I wouldn't say obviously. Honestly, I'm not even going to say that. I'm not going to say obviously, because it's not.
I just barely learned about it too recently.
Yeah.
Barely learned about that.
Yeah,
we had resources.
So it's not obvious, but we are trying, right? I think that we're trying, and I think so here in North Texas, we have Dr. Holland DeGuire, who runs our LGBTQ services, LGBTQ plus services out of North Texas VA. He does a really good job with it. I think that he does a great job. We have a group also that meets every month, and we talk about ideas, and we talk about different months that are coming up, or different events that we could be involved with, or different kinds of things that we can do to try to advertise out to that particular branch of community, which I think is great. And I think, we talked offline about this, but I think it's just really, it shows that the VA is at least trying to come into the 21st century.
Yes. And, I try not to go too much on politics too much.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like the VA is like the grandma and grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, hey, guess what? We're going to start accepting you, kiddo, And, it kind of falls back in, politics too, Grandma and grandpa still stuck in their 1950s, mindset.
Yeah.
And trying to, teach them and mentor them, like I would mentor my soldiers and NCOs, hey, grandma and grandpa, this is something new. This is something you need to get with, I can't rush you into it. I can't be like, enforce it like we usually did in the military and, just go ahead and shove it down people's throats, but ease them into it,
Sure. Yeah, and during that group when, I love that you were saying, there's all these different things and I don't want to offend anybody and things like, I think that a lot of the times, a lot of us are scared to offend someone, right?
Yes.
Like here's the thing. I'm a realist, right? And I'm like you a lot, okay? Where I have this alpha mentality, and so I'm not really worried about your feelings. I'm really just worried about the truth, right? That's it. I just want to get down to the truth, and I want to find some sort of common ground, and I want to stick there with you, right? So that we can be friends, and so we can move past this, and we can build a relationship from that point forward. But it's really hard sometimes because I don't mean to be offensive, but I'll come off offensive, right? Or I'll forget a pronoun, or I'll forget this, or I'll forget that. And it's sometimes I just wish that there was just a safe place, right? To where for someone like me, to where I could go, I can ask a question that might be considered weird or maybe, not so appropriate or whatever, but it's a real question, right?
Because you're learning.
Yeah, because I'm learning, right? I mean, you have to dig a little deeper, but then I don't think anyone ever feels comfortable enough to ask. And so then it becomes, okay, well, if you're not comfortable enough to ask, then you're never going to get the answer. And if you never get the answer, then you're never going to learn. And if you never learn, then is it ever going to change?
You got the whole everything down in therapy right there.
Right?
You should be a therapist too part-time, okay?
Yeah. Listen, I think you just scared the absolute hell out of VA's mental health, like across the nation, by saying that I should be a therapist, right?
But I mean, that's the kind of the process. You kind of just broke down the process of what happens in therapy. And for me, I've been in therapy over 12 years now.
Yeah.
And I did therapy in active duty since my first deployment. Coming back, some stuff had happened the first time around, and I'm still learning to be okay. It took a while. It took years to be okay. Finally, I feel like I'm in a safe place with myself. I feel like I'm more confident now with who I am. I feel like that, I'm not saying the VA is all 100% to thank for, but my part-time with active duty when I did therapy there, and the VA and other programs, there's other veteran programs out there. Wounded Warrior Project, like the Vet Center too, the VA sister, I call it a sister company.
Redheaded stepchild,
Redheaded stepchild, or the sister company, I call it. But those organizations do help. But the thing is, as a veteran, are you willing to take that step to admit that, you have something seriously going on? Or do you want to stay stuck in denial and play the victim or feel that entitlement?
Ooh.
Oh, I don't care if I scare people. I'm looking at the camera. I don't care if I scare people with that.
Yeah.
But that's the issue. I'm not gonna say I'm sugarcoating. That goes for LGBTQ IA plus for the gay community. They're very much in that victim mentality, and that's why they're so resistant, and that's why they're so defensive when it comes down to presenting new ideas, to getting them incorporated with the VA. And I've seen that firsthand when I was in Colorado, and I'm slowly seeing it out here in Texas too. In Colorado, I was part of the, helping out with the gay community out there too. Did small stuff here and there. Did Pride with them. Did a couple drag shows. In case people don't know what drag shows are, like the RuPaul, Drag Race. If you watch that, but it's hard when people are not on the same page as you. And the thing is, not everybody thinks like you. Not everybody is you. So trying to be empathetic towards their issues and see things from a different light is hard. It really is. And trying to get them on that, hey, be open to ideas, stop being closed-minded. Because not only that, I think within the gay community, there is gays who are homophobic towards each other. They don't like another gay person because that person's bisexual or that person is transgender. I'm like, are you kidding me? We're in the same freaking community. So yeah, I said freaking, damn it.
It's okay.
I try not to swear because I work in the IT industry, so I had to talk very articulate.
Freaking is not a swear. No, right. I don't have to bleep that. No.
I'm trying to be professional here.
No, and it's funny because I told you before, I was like, no, you can cuss. I'll just bleep it. I said I don't know how yet, but I'll figure it out. I mean, I'm sure I will. I'm sure I will. All right, so let's just. I want to ask you just a couple more questions really quick. So you talked about your mental health and it being really important. So do you feel like it's really important for veterans in general just to kind of seek some sort of mental health treatment? And then in the same regard, I would say especially for LGBTQ. And no, the reason I say that, let me explain that before I offend someone, okay? Okay, all right. I know you're laughing over there. But seriously though, I mean, because, we talked about this on the phone, but I feel like LGBTQ veterans, right, aren't just dealing with veteran issues alone, right?
Right.
And then there's other more social aspects that they're also dealing with on top of everything else.
Yes.
And so that's why I say especially LGBTQ veterans. And that's I just wanted to get it out there, okay?
No, you're good, man.
Before I get like mobbed and like I'm going to be the next like TikTok video, and then they're gonna and then the secretary of the VA is gonna just like can me like that.
Just give me a call,
Cool, I appreciate it.
I got you, brother. I got you.
I appreciate you're a witness.
I got you.
Okay, great. No, I mean, but seriously though, I mean, in that respect, do you feel like it's even more important for LGBTQ veterans?
Honestly, on top of, combat stuff that I dealt with, military sexual trauma I experienced too, and being gay on top of it, it's just, I feel like it's a mind game for me sometimes. And for me, I think it's very important. Honestly, I don't know other veterans, how they feel, but at the end of the day, you have to know who you are to be okay. If you don't know who you are, that's why mental health is there for. And as a veteran, you have to be honest with yourself am I really, crazy? I'm displaying signs of, violence. I'm being not myself. I'm numb. I'm not participating with my family. I'm depressed all the time. Then what does that tell you? You know, like, I'm not trying to say that not all veterans can recognize those symptoms, but if somebody that loves you, like your family, friends, even coworkers notice stuff like that, that's a red flag right there. Like, hey, maybe I need to get myself evaluated. You know, it doesn't hurt to get yourself evaluated to see where you're at with your mental health. I mean, I know a couple of veterans are like, well, the VA is crappy. I'm like, but have you really tried the other programs within the VA? How many times have you gone to the VA? Like, I'm questioning it with people. I ask them 1,001 questions. I'm like, I'm not trying to say the VA is the greatest in the world, you know, but where have you started your fight? I get it. People are fighting their disability claims, other crap like that. I get it. But how many more fight do you have in you for yourself? This is for you. This is not for nobody else. This is for you to be better, to feel better. So.
Yeah. No, I think you said it beautifully. I wouldn't change a word. I wouldn't change a word. I really wouldn't. And, you know, I would say I'm going to go back to what you said. That it has something to do with entitlement, I think, as well, right?
Yes, I agree.
I think that, you know, I give this speech a lot, but, you know, I'll give it again because I always love it. And I go through it real fast now because I've done it so many times. But listen, you're not entitled to crap, okay? Unless you were born, okay, a king, a queen, a prince, a princess, a lord, a lady, a duke, a duchess, a baron, or a baroness.
Exactly.
That's it. I mean, if you weren't born any of those things and with land entitled to you from birth, that is what entitled means, is that you are now given land, okay? At least that's what the old school meaning meant. So no, we are deserving. That's what I tell veterans. We are deserving.
It's a privilege.
Yes, it is a privilege, and we are deserving of that privilege so long as we stay deserving, which means that we still have to behave ourselves to an extent.
Exactly.
To an extent, okay? I'm not saying don't advocate for yourself. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that getting angry isn't always the best advocation of yourself, right? Or getting something out of something else.
And you know what? Speaking of anger and, you know, mental health, I'm not afraid to share this with people. I've gone to jail in 2018 for domestic violence, and it's not fun. I'm not going to say and sugarcoat it, you know. I let my PTSD get the best of me. I let my anger get the best of me. I lost family, friends during that time period, and I was lost. I come out of the military in 2016. Then going to college, trying to figure out, you know, do I want to do IT? Do I want to do something else? And I found my passion in cybersecurity. That's where I'm kind of at right now. And, you know, learning cybersecurity, getting my certifications, you know, I work for, you know, banking industry right now, and that's where everything's hot right there. But at that same time, I lost myself in 2018, came out of jail. I didn't know who I was anymore. I went back to the gym again. You know, I kind of gained back the weight now, obviously, but, you know.
COVID.
Hey, yeah, you know what? We'll blame COVID on that. Right. And I work from home, so that sucks for me. It was basically had to relearn who I was. And on top of that, I was in a toxic marriage. You know, me and my ex-wife were both toxic. I'm not putting her name out there. She is another veteran as well, but, you know, she was struggling with her own health. I was struggling with my own health as well. And mentally, we were both just not good. And, you know, I'm not condoning, you know, veteran, you know, relationships, but two veterans who are broken and don't get their crap together, it's a firestorm. It's toxic.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it becomes a vicious cycle. I mean, again, I don't want to get too far down the rabbit hole on that, but it becomes a vicious cycle because, you know, you have your own condition that you are also displaying codependency, like you're projecting codependency out there.
Exactly.
And so then that other person also has their own condition, and then they're also projecting their own codependency issues, and now you're kind of getting those codependency issues from their problems, and it's just a perfect firestorm, right? It's just, have you ever seen one of those fires that they just dig into a hole? You ever seen that? It's called a foxhole fire. You ever seen that? So you just dig a hole into the ground, and you just dig like a 45-degree angle, and then it just becomes like a tornado.
It's called an underground emu pit.
Yeah,
when we do the Kahlua pig.
It's the same thing.
Similar concept.
So Georgia, we call it a foxhole fire, right? Okay, because
okay.
it looks like a foxhole you have to dig in the military, except smaller, right? But yeah, it becomes a perfect storm. It becomes like a jet engine fire, right? Because it has just enough, okay, to fuel it forever. And so you're absolutely right. But I think that mental health is important no matter who you are, right? And that's why I always suggest, like, when veterans come in to enroll in services, I'm always like, okay, here's what you need to do. You need to go enroll in services, and then you need to go directly to the mental health access clinic.
Yes.
Period. And they're like, well, I don't have any mental health problems. And I'm just like, yeah, well, let them tell you that you don't have any mental health problems because you might not be seeing it, right?
But other people do, and that's a crazy thing. Somebody who may not have as much trauma as you, or for me, I have complex trauma. People who don't have those type of traumas like we do as veterans, because I learned this in therapy, we're on a different scale than civilians. Civilians are like right here in the borderline, right? And for us veterans coming for especially combat, nothing against the non-combat. I know the non-combats, they have their own issues as well too. But here we are, then coming back, you're not going to go back to the borderline of where a civilian normal is. You're still at a high level, but just a little bit lower.
Yeah, we teach employees that too. We have this thing called PMDV. It's preventive maintenance of disruptive behavior, and so we teach them that anyone that comes in contact face to face with a veteran is supposed to go through that training, and that's what we teach them. We teach them about the stress levels. We show them a graph. It's a bell curve graph that we show them, right? And it says, here's a stress level of a normal human being, right? Here's a stress level of a veteran, right? And how quickly that stress level changes, and how quickly it can shift. All right, so listen, that's about all time we got. I hate to cut you off because I want you're gonna have to just come back on and we'll just have more conversations.
We'll do part 2. We'll do 2.0.
Yes, we'll do a 2.0. Yeah, that'd be great. And so listen, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, of course, no problem.
I thought it was great. I'm going to get in so much trouble for some of these things. No, I'm kidding.
I just showed a shotgun smile.
I'll just show you on the screen instead of me. All right, listen. Thank you, everybody. That's all we got for this episode. Huge thanks to Cassandra. Thank you so much for coming in and telling us a little bit about how you are continuing your mission. I also want to thank Georgia Red Clay for the awesome music, and I want to thank all of you for listening. So we'll be putting out a bi-weekly podcast. So make sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, etc. at hashtag VA North Texas and at hashtag Charlie Mike VA for our next episode to drop. Thanks again, and always remember, no matter how bad it gets, just Charlie Mike.
Don't tread on me, just let me be. Well, I believe what I believe. At least I got something left to stand for.